course, our politics team back in DC is going to be bringing you all the latest results and the analysis as we have it. But first, we're going to kick it off here. We're going to hear what people here in Alabama have to say about the candidates, about the issues. I'm going to jump over to the whiteboard because, yes, there is a whiteboard. Real quick, here's what we know about what Alabamians were searching for in the last week when it comes to the issues that matter to them. These are the top 5. Crime, healthcare, immigration, abortion, and sexual harassment. I'm going to throw it open to the group right now. Let's start by going around real quick. Grab a microphone if you don't mind in front of you. We'll start over there. Just give me your name. Say hi real quick. We'll whip around, say our names, and then we'll jump into the issues. Want to start down here? Yeah.
Sure. My name's Alex Smith.
Next.
My name's Desmond Wilson.
My name's Daniel Bagwani.
Gene Ruggiero.
Steve Cranish.
Over to you.
Michael Wilbanks.
My name is Jordan Cox.
She Peoples.
Hey, I'm Justin Snow.
And I'm Samantha DiLorenzo.
Thank you so much to everyone for being here. So when you look up at these issues, is there anything that's not on this list that really mattered to you, that got you out to the polls today? Anybody?
Jobs. Equal rights.
Okay, wait, let's start over here. Des, you spoke up first. You go first.
One of the main things for me was job creation and workforce development.
Okay, anyone else? Hands up. That mattered to you? What else? I heard something over here.
Jobs.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jobs 100%. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Other issues? Yeah? Microphone over here. We're going to play with this today.
Equality and equal rights.
That was a big issue for you. Okay, Gene? That was big for you. Okay.
The character of Roy Moore.
That was another big issue. Anyone
it's a
else
huge
that
issue,
matter
yes.
to anyone else? Character? Yeah? Okay. Okay. Anything we haven't covered up there or in the room? Go ahead.
Foreign policy.
Okay. Did that matter to anyone else?
I tell you what, if you kind of take the Trump message and boil it down, it really creates a message of sovereignty, prosperity, and security. I think those 3 things are essentially the route for a more perfect union. So I think those are more of the 3 on my agenda.
It's the earliest invocation of President Trump I thought we would have tonight. But first, let's do this.
Gotta support my president.
I hear you. Let's go with the cards now. Before everyone sat down, you wrote down who you voted for. You're going to share that with us now. We'll talk about how those issues lined up with your candidates. So go ahead, reveal your cards for me. What do we got here? So starting over there, Doug Jones.
Sit down, Chief.
Lee Busby, one turn it around, you're upside down. Doug Jones, Roy Moore, Jones, Moore, Jones, and Jones. Okay, so let's start with tax reform then. Gene, you want to kick it off for us? You said, was that the top issue for you, tax reform?
Not the top issue, but
Yeah.
It was very close. I'm a self-employed businessman, and I'm paying taxes more than I used to make. So
I think your mic is not working. Let me swap that out for you. You want to start with me again? Tell me why it was that you voted for Roy Moore.
Well, tax reform means a lot to me, being self-employed, and like I said, I'm paying more taxes today than I used to make in a year. So, and that's good. I'm glad to pay taxes. I wish I owe $1 million or more, but because the more you're going to pay, the more you're making, I assume, that's the way you look at it. But we do need a break. I mean, things are going up in price, and I'm in the insurance business, and commissions are going down. And so I don't know what these companies think, that you're going to make it off of 10% commission instead of 20 years ago it was 20% commission. Well, 20 years ago you can make it off 10%. Today you need to hold 20% or more, whatever you're getting. So the bottom line, we need a break somewhere along the line, and nobody seems to be giving it to us, and it's just always gimme. My name's
So
Jimmy.
jobs, tax reform, economics, that seems to have mattered most to you, and that's what led you to vote for Roy Moore. Is that right?
Yes, that's one reason.
Daniel, you were gesturing like you wanted to get in here.
No,
Go
I
ahead.
didn't.
No?
It said hold mic closer to mouth, and he was holding it up for like a whole 20 seconds, and you didn't. I was just sorry.
No problem. Let me do there's a one working mic here. What, she wanted to get in here? Go ahead.
The main thing that brought me out to vote this election, which is not a hard thing to do, I vote every time there's an election. I don't care what it's for. But the main thing that was really propelling me this time was the fact that I really have a serious issue with someone who will defy the Constitution and not do what they made an oath to do. 2 separate occasions, and got fired twice. How many times are we supposed to give this man another opportunity to basically lie, mistreat, and corrupt the office that he holds in the state of Alabama? Enough is enough. And it really didn't matter who was running against him as long as they had some integrity.
So your vote
That
was really
okay with me.
against Roy Moore than it was pro Doug Jones. Is that
I'm
right?
very pleased with who Doug Jones is,
Yeah.
but anyone at this table could have run for the same office, and I would have voted for them before I would Roy Moore.
Now let me ask you, because you didn't vote for either of the 2 candidates everyone's talking about most.
I know. Looking around at these cards, I feel like I'm going to get jumped. I really didn't feel like either one of the candidates. I don't want to start with qualified. Let's just say represented. I don't feel that either one of the candidates represented my personal views, and I don't feel like it represented Alabama as a whole. I don't feel like it represented our character and who we are to the nation. As far as qualifications go, we can get into that more later. And I'd like to say that the stuff that's been in the news that has brought up a lot of anger recently was not the big factor that pushed me over the edge. I do typically lean conservative. I did not feel that either one of the candidates at this point were qualified, and
So you chose to write in a candidate.
I did.
Conservative or Republican as a third party that you wrote in, Lee Busby. I saw you nodding your head, Samantha. Is there something you wanted to say there too?
Oh, I mean, I can just understand because, I mean, it's a lot more diverse than people think it is. So, I mean, just having 2 candidates, I mean, I voted for Jones just because third party write-ins haven't done us the best in the past. So I wanted something a little more solid, but I completely understand what he's going for. I won't jump you, I promise.
Let's pass it back here to Jordan, though, because I saw you trying to get in there. Someone who voted for Moore. What do you have to say about what you've heard?
I just wanted to point out the fact of the hesitancy that I have with Jones in the sense of that I believe that he is a full puppet of the Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi machine that's going on in Washington. And quite frankly, as we saw in healthcare, we couldn't get it passed. As we saw in tax reform, we got it passed by 1 single vote. The conservatives cannot afford to lose a seat, especially in the state of Alabama, because, as I was pointing out earlier, if Alabama falls, that sends shockwaves throughout the nation that a state as red as Alabama is able to fall. I'm just fully under the belief that we cannot have another obstructionist coming to Washington and hindering the progress that we're making on a day in and day out basis. I mean,
your vote for Moore was to keep the agenda.
We need to keep the agenda
of
going.
The Republican Party in full steam.
The stock market, we break records daily. Unemployment's the lowest it's been in 17 years. Border crossings, the lowest it's been in 42 years. I mean, we're hiring 1,000 new jobs in manufacturing every single day in the past month of November. And the past 3 quarters, we've added 3% economic growth to the GDP. That's not something that Barack Obama could not have done one time in his quarters throughout his presidency.
And let me grab that back. So you think Roy Moore will help contribute to that success? I'm going to let you get in here first, and we'll come back to continue the conversation. But what point did you want to make?
So you like Trump, and I can understand that.
Staunch Trump supporter.
You mentioned about the Pelosi-Reid-Schumer machine. I don't have a major problem with Trump. I do feel he is a fairly divisive politician. And you mentioned the Democratic machine. I'm worried about the face of Trump and Moore becoming the face of the Republican Party next year in 2018. So I identify as Republican. I voted for Doug Jones because I'm worried about the long-term game with the Republican Party, losing potentially 8 to 10 seats, according to some analysts, 8 to 10 seats next fall, potentially going to the Democratic side. So I support Doug Jones because of that.
I respect your opinion.
And this is great. We're having a good, respectful conversation here. We can continue to respectfully disagree with each other. We are going to continue our talk here. We hope you guys stay with us. I'm going to make sure everyone has a chance to speak their mind and be heard, because there is a lot more to talk about, as you can see. But for now, we want to kick it back over to Washington. I know my colleagues over there, Mary Bruce, is leading our coverage. She is going to be leading us through all the results, everything we know so far. Mary, let me kick it back over to you in D.C.
Thanks, Amna. Hey, everyone. I'm ABC's Mary Bruce here in our Washington newsroom. Thank you so much for joining us as we keep a close eye on what is probably the most closely watched Senate special election. It certainly is one of the most bizarre and ugly campaigns that we have seen in recent memory. The big question tonight: will Alabama voters decide between Republican Roy Moore, who stands accused now of sexual misconduct, or Democrat Doug Jones? Will these allegations disturb voters so much that a Democrat could pull off an historic upset in what is deep ruby red Alabama? The race has been neck and neck, but what is clear is that the stakes are enormous for Republicans, for the 2018 midterms, and of course for the president. We have our whole team here to help break it down, joined by Rick Klein, our political director, Tara Palmieri, our White House correspondent. We've got Kenneth Moton over there at the big board. We want to hear your guys' questions. Please send them in to us throughout the night. We're going to do our best to try and stump Kenneth, see if he can answer some of these questions. He's also keeping an eye on what's happening over there on social media. But let's start right here, because Rick Klein, I want to start with you. The big question tonight really comes down to the impact of these allegations. What are we seeing so far? We're seeing some of the first wave of polling coming in. What are you learning?
Well, this is a national storyline that has overtaken a local race, a state race that no one thought would be very competitive. And we know that people there are paying attention to this storyline. And on a critical question, I think the first numbers I looked at in this is, do people believe that Moore did these things or not? And in fact, 50% are saying that they believe that the allegations either definitely or probably true. On the other hand, 44% say they don't think that they're true, which is a pretty big number. Other than Roy Moore and Donald Trump, there aren't a lot of people that are denying that all of these things are true. They think they're all made up. And if you look more broadly at the electorate, 60% say it was a factor in their decision. That's a remarkable thing if you think about it, because all of this has come out of the blue over the last month. Roy Moore, a known quantity. These allegations, not only 35% are saying that they didn't know about, that they didn't think about these when they went into the voting booth today.
And so much of this, of course, comes down to the president. He has really, in these last few weeks, gone all in for Roy Moore. But is that a risky move?
Absolutely. It was a huge political risk for the president, but he is going with his gut because he felt that last time by supporting his primary challenger, Luther Strange, he wasn't following his own political instinct and he went to establishment. And at the end of the day, the polls are close and Trump is not making a huge risk. A senior administration official told me that if Roy Moore was down 20 points, you would never heard a peep out of Trump. But he thinks he's
got a chance.
He thinks he has a 50-50 chance, and he's willing to put his name on the line for that, and he knows that his endorsement in Alabama matters and it will push Roy Moore forward, and so that's why he's going out on the line for him.
And then so much of this comes down to, where are the voters? Are they voting really for Roy Moore or against Roy Moore? Are they voting for Donald Trump and for or against his agenda?
Well, a couple of questions that get at this. And one is, people are asked, does either candidate share your values? And it's fascinating here because 47% that say that Doug Jones shares their values. That's a big number for a Democrat. 47% also say the same for Roy Moore. It is exactly tied in the exit polls.
Come on, Rick, we're looking for clarity here.
Here's a piece of clarity for you. So on the question of Trump's favorability, now this is a state, Alabama. He won 62-34 a year ago. He has a 47% approval rating in the state, 48% disapproval. High by national standards, but not by Alabama standards. And his strong approval is only at 32%, whereas a strong disapproval at 40%. This tells me that the resistance is onto something, that they are out there battling it. And it becomes a fight for the resistance, a test for them, and also for that Trump base. Are they as motivated? Are they as engaged on behalf of a deeply flawed candidate who has run the Trump playbook in Alabama? Do they show up for him in the same kind of numbers? It is looking like a race that's on the closer side tonight.
So, Kenneth, we're going to come over to you over there because we were hearing some of the concerns from voters down that Amna was talking with. Right. What are you seeing coming in on social?
All right, so Mary, can we call this the really fun part of the night? I'm a little biased here. This is the fun part where we get to hear from the people. We get to hear from you, not only in Alabama, but from across this country, because I'm not sure if you've heard, but this is a closely watched race, which means the social media mentions for these two candidates has been through the roof. Let me give you a little bit of an incredible number here. On Twitter in the past week, Roy Moore, 3.4 million mentions on Twitter. His opponent, Doug Jones, 1 million. Of course, not all those mentions positive news, especially in light of the way this race has gone, how negative, and the allegations against Roy Moore. Right here, we've got our comment section up where we want to hear your questions, your thoughts, your concerns. One of the questions we put up here on the ABC News Politics page to get us going tonight is what factors would influence your vote if someone in your party or a candidate you support is accused of misconduct? We're already getting some of the thoughts that are pouring in right here. We've got one right here from Brown Pam that says integrity over party. The lead rainmaker here says proof would be a good start. Let's pull this one up right here. You know, if someone is accused of sexual misconduct, not once or twice, but countless times too, countless that I lose track, or says that slavery was when America was great, or Muslims should never be allowed in the government, or homosexuality should be illegal, I wouldn't vote for him. Obviously talking about Roy Moore and some more of the divisive comments that have been made. Also, I want to show you a little bit about some of the Google searches that we've seen coming in when it comes to these two candidates. Actually, you see these lines right here? Amna talked about the issues. What's important to the voters? What's important to you when it comes down to your home, your children, your taxes even? So we see crime, healthcare, abortion, immigration. This yellow line right here that you see at the bottom, sexual harassment. Obviously, you've heard a lot about sexual harassment claims and sexual misconduct in this race. But when it comes down to the topics that, according to Google and these searches, right here at the bottom. So we're going to be taking comments. We're going to be hearing from people. You know, sometimes we say, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Pay attention to this guy because he's helping me. That's Quinn right there. Say hey, Quinn. We also got our own Capitol Hill ace producer, Allie Rogan, at Allie ABC News. Allie, where you at? There she is, way back there. She didn't know I was going to put her on camera, but she's over there answering some questions. We're going to get some of her answers to folks' questions also, Mary. So it's going to be a good night. It's going to be a fun night.
Well, thank you.